Welcome back to the Deliver That platform, folks. I'm your host, Ben Alcar. Thank you so much for consuming the content morning, afternoon, and evening. We appreciate it. As always, if you could, hit that subscribe button down below. That's going to help us out more than you could ever know. I have another amazing driver spotlight to bring to you folks out there today. Very well known in the gig industry, brand new to the Deliver That platform. You may know him from his channel, Your Driver Mike, with 163,000 subscribers. Whoo boy, that is a lot of you folks out there subscribing to that channel. He has operated on platforms like Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, Walmart Spark, Point Pickup, Grubhub, and like I mentioned, brand new to the Deliver That platform. Welcome to the spotlight, Your Driver Mike.
Appreciate it. And folks, actually, I just finished, Ben, this is pretty interesting. I just finished to deliver that shift, by the way. So it's pretty exciting to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, man, we've obviously been chatting it up off camera and things like that. And we obviously greatly appreciate the content being produced on your end. Unbelievable things in the works. It's been great, man. I know we talked for the first time, maybe summer of 2023, we had our first little chat over Zoom, and all the things that have transpired since then have been amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome, man. I want to, I know everyone out there, there's a ton of subscribers, so all those watching out there are maybe familiar with your story. I don't know if you've previously given a lot of backstory to the subscribers of your channel, or how deep in that content of things those videos would be to be able to be retrieved. But I want to start there. You know, how did you actually find your way into the gig economy? How long ago was it? And we can kind of start there.
Yeah, so October of 2015, my first shift. I'm again here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I found myself, I was living with my brother at the time, got a twin brother, Matt. He does some side hustle work as well. And I was spending money if I was going out. If I wasn't going out, I wasn't certainly doing anything. And, if you think about those early years, 2015 and even a little bit prior, there was this ride share thing at the time. It was coming to Pittsburgh. We saw some of the Lyft vehicles with the pink mustaches, and I was hearing about Uber. So, I saw some of the early entrants on YouTube as well. But firstly, just hearing about ride share and that's my initial start in the side hustle space with Uber. Then I did Lyft, and then I got into delivery. And 2 years after that, 2017 in January, I started the channel. Again, I saw some early people doing it on YouTube, and really wanted to build a business around it, and now a great audience and a great community around the channel. And it's been really, really interesting. I've talked to our audience about Deliver That in the catering space. I think it's a great opportunity, right now in 2024 and for some time now. But trying rideshare, delivery, I've done parcel, like you've mentioned, I've done grocery, I've done most every single major side hustle. And it's just really interesting having built it since 2015 is trying what's out there. Because maybe someone likes delivery, maybe someone likes rideshare, and there's a lot of options now for gig workers. And it varies by marketplace. So for someone to find a side hustle that works for their schedule in the niche that they like, there's a lot of opportunities out there.
Yeah, amazing backstory. 2015, I feel like that's when everything literally first started. Deliver That actually was started in 2013 at Ohio University as a DoorDash. Before DoorDash was a thing, really, it was called OU Delivery at the time. Becomes Campus Delivery, and then ultimately becomes Deliver That. So yeah, everything goes back to those kind of earliest days. You mentioned the ride share and then transitioning to food delivery. I have a kind of just a preliminary question. Did you enjoy kind of being like the taxi service with people and having to interact with those people? Or do you like it better now, kind of just picking up the food, talking to the customers? Obviously, everyone enjoys the end consumer and helping those folks out, but I'm not a huge communicator off camera. So like taking someone around, having them in my back seat, I never think I would enjoy something like that.
That is a fantastic question. Folks, if you're considering rideshare, again, I've done basically it all. It is a completely different beast, as you'd imagine. My experience out of college, I did customer service. I did some retail, working in between semesters at Penn State. So a lot of people, I worked at a call center initially doing, hundreds of calls. And it gave me, I think, a good base, just talking to different people. But to answer your question, yes, rideshare is a completely different beast. I was driving part-time after my full-time job. I was driving evenings and weekends, really the late night bar crew. I mean, I got out there at 9 p.m., 10 p.m. At the time, there was Surge, there was big prime time on Lyft. And, 99.9% of the rides, completely cool, fun people, a lot of students, here in Pittsburgh, around the University of Pittsburgh. But I know a lot of drivers, it's like that, it's a little tiny 0.001%, what if with rideshare. And, unfortunately, things do happen with rideshare. You have someone in your vehicle that is quite literally a stranger. And, I still fully believe, rideshare for the vast, vast majority is completely fine. It's completely safe. But I also tell my audience, the burrito next to me is never going to do anything. The burrito next to me I don't have to worry about customer service with it. It's a lot, it's a lot simpler in that sense. But I still like both side hustles. Now I've certainly leaned to delivery, just because, in part pay, just because of in part, comfort level. But again, there's some workers that may love a certain niche. So it's just finding the right side hustle for you.
And the multi-apping of things, right, is obviously massive these days within the gig economy. You mentioned how many you've operated on. I mentioned in the intro. I mean, you got food delivery, rideshare. There's medical pickup at this point in time. People are picking up and delivering prescriptions. I mean, there's so many windows of opportunity in this gig economy nowadays that it's just unbelievable how many facets of business it actually operates within. Anyone who wants to get into this kind of thing, do you have something that you would look to immediately for someone who's thinking about getting into the gig economy? Maybe they got laid off or they're just looking for a new opportunity. They're a little sick of the monotony of kind of, as you mentioned, the corporate lifestyle. Do you have a quick tip for someone who is now looking to get into the gig economy?
Yeah, 100%. Think about when you're free, if you have a 9 to 5, or like you said, maybe you're laid off, maybe you're completely free, you're looking for something to fill your time. When are you free? Do you have a vehicle? We have some resources. You have a website, yourdrivermight.com. We got, what we call a starter guide that has a lot of these side hustles, criteria. So you can go over that and list like all this criteria in one place. But generally, when are you free? Mornings, afternoons? Do you have a vehicle or do you want an at-home side hustle? I'll tell you this, folks, in just talking with Ben and, doing my research on DeliverThat, I'm starting to, I'm a new courier, so I'm starting to get more experience on DeliverThat. Look for things that keep you busy. Ben, you and the team have said like, hey, we get a lot of busy times and orders during the lunch rush, that kind of 10 a.m. until let's say 1, 2 p.m. So if your food delivery apps are slow during that earlier time, which honestly, that's what I see here in Pittsburgh, sometimes that window is kind of dead. That's kind of why I was driving DeliverThat today. Or if you're a morning person, maybe you're doing ride share, runs to the airport. So I always say, don't rely on just one side hustle. That's why we're multi-apping, driving on different apps at the same time so you can select the best order. But then look at home side hustles. I talk about different survey platforms, ones that are actually worth it, because I want you to do your research. That's it. If something's not working, that's what they say. Don't keep doing the same thing, expecting different results whenever maybe there's a better side hustle out there. That's partly what I try to teach.
Yeah, that's amazing advice from someone who's known and done it all. So I would definitely take that as wise words of wisdom. I appreciate that information. The content side of things, you mentioned you kind of did it as you began early in this gig space as well. That was a huge question I wanted to talk about. What was that early content life like for you? I know nowadays the traction on your channel is amazing. It's very substantial. You can see it. The videos get posted, the views, the comments, the likes, the shares, they're there. Early on, was it a slow burn? Did you feel like, hey, maybe this isn't going to be great? How was it for you in those early days?
And you know what? It's a great question, because that is another thing that, I'd like to talk a little bit more about my channel, but, our awesome audience is more in tune with the gig apps per se, but monetizing across socials. I mentioned I wanted to really build a business out of this thing and eventually, building this awesome community and team members, we call it. But, there's great opportunities on socials. Obviously, specifically, we're talking about YouTube. What I did, I talk about kind of E3. E3 is educate, execute, expand. So I educated myself on the best practices, learning from experts, reading books, audiobooks, whatever it is. And then I executed on one or two things because you can't do it all. And especially when you're first starting and you have limited free time. And then once you start seeing things that are working, educate on more things, expand that portfolio. So relating that to YouTube, it's like, all right, well, let me do research on thumbnails. Let me do research on how to film, how to keep someone engaged, and then on gear, on lighting, on camera work, all of that stuff. I did relentless research. And to answer more of that specific question, yeah, if you look at the stats, again, I started in 2017. I'm getting some views, but YouTube, for anyone interested in YouTube, it is a long game. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But remember, don't just do things the right way. Again, by learning by people who've already done it, by the best practices, because honestly, that's the best way you're going to set yourself up for success. And there's, no guarantees here. But if you're interested in some of this stuff, and I think that translates to a lot of life and work, studying and doing it the right way, again, while there's no guarantee, it's going to be your best bet for success.
Yeah, and what comes to mind when you're talking there to me is just the intent behind what you're doing, right? The intentionality and making sure you kind of have a plan and vision in place for where you actually want things to go. You mentioned thumbnails as well. This is very random, and maybe you've seen it, maybe you haven't, but I remember a while back, sometime last year, Mr. Beast went on Joe Rogan, and he said something along the lines of he got so granular with how he does his videos now that he knows what thumbnail will get his video to 10 million and what will, keep it at 2 and 3 million. Do you find things that you get so granular with your titles, your captions, your thumbnails? Are you that deep into this world of content?
I would say so, certainly not to his level because he is next level. And I've seen some of that, data on what he does, changing the thumbnail 6, 7, 8 times to try to just change little things about it. But absolutely. Again, folks, if you're looking at side hustle stuff with DeliverThat or what have you, you already have this entrepreneurial side in you because you're taking action. You're taking action for a side hustle, or you're taking action to make money if you're laid off. That's in part what happened to me. Summer, I think it was 2020, I was let go from a sales job and just taking action. I went, full time in the gig economy because I had to. That's part of it there. But yeah, I mean, I was, and I pretty much continue to be obsessive with most everything because, again, relating it back to entrepreneurship, I mean, that's your baby. That is your thing. That's your ship that you're piloting. So every single day I was in what's called the YouTube studio, the back end, looking at data. I still do it. I look for trends and then studying, yes, thumbnails, kind of color design, what is actually working to get more clicks, more retention, all of that, definitely.
Unbelievable. I know we could talk about the content side of things for probably hours and hours, but I do want to talk about the gig economy specifically and your success with the content, similar to your success in the gig world, I imagine. You found a ton within all types of platforms, similar to the tips and tricks for new drivers. The success you found in this gig world, did you find that to be a quick, you caught on, fast, you're a quick learner and you knew the processes and procedures of all things immediately? Or did you find out, like you've mentioned, it took, hey, that platform isn't for me. This platform's great. This one works at that specific time. How did you find success in the gig economy?
Yeah. I tell our team members, I'll tell your audience, I don't, try to make it something that it's not. It is not hard. The gig economy, it's not hard, but I say that's what makes it hard or challenging because I can deliver a pizza, you can deliver a pizza. The gig is fine, or Amazon Flex, deliver the package, or Walmart Spark, deliver the groceries. So to maximize your income, you really do have to kind of master the intricacies, the little details. You have to understand your marketplace. You have to understand, okay, well, I know this app is going to typically offer $1 bonus pay, but today is $3. Is it worth it? What time is it? And then once you start actually working out there, it's the little things that I even had today. I was driving and I know, okay, I may not want to deliver there because parking's really tough or it's a massive hospital complex. I'm a little concerned, whatever it is. And you have that freedom, folks, as an independent contractor to accept or decline the orders that you want. So again, anyone, you can go out there. You don't have to look into it that deeply if you don't want to. But you'll probably fall within the bell curve of average earners, which is fine if that's what you want. But if you really want to squeeze out the most money per hour, let's say, because I know everyone's time's valuable, then you do have to look at the intricacies. That's kind of what a lot of the gig work is about.
Yeah, I agree. And you mentioned kind of the information behind deliveries and where these drop-offs are going to. We see a ton of hospital drop-offs, businesses, things like that. And I know parking in Pittsburgh, I remember working as a dispatcher, some of those places are miserable trying to find parking, whether you have to go to a loading dock or you got to just throw the flashers on it and pray you don't come out to $100 ticket. Sometimes it just is what it is, and you got to play the game with the cards that you're dealt. How important is that delivery information for you as a delivery driver? Are you analyzing everything about that? If you have the customer information, the phone number, the delivery instructions, how important are those delivery details to you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll actually relate it to the, one of the DeliverThat offers I got today. So I was delivering to Station Square. It's a south, kind of west side of the Pittsburgh marketplace. And I knew, knowing my marketplace, that there's like not really any parking on the main road there. But there's kind of a loading zone, like you mentioned, you put the four-ways on, and I knew it's not that crowded. It's not like downtown. So I should be fine. And I was completely fine there. But I'm considering everything. When you talk about the info, I used, actually, it's going back to DeliverThat. I use the contact's phone number making the delivery because I went into an office where I was delivering. There was no one at the front desk. So I can't say, call this person, or where is this person, or where should I drop this catering order off? But I had the number. So other apps, let's say, if they don't give you as much info, you're just going to have to hunt around, flag someone down. Hey, I'm making this delivery. But I had the number. So I texted the person and they came down. So, I mean, I want the basics. I want the mileage. I want the pay. I mean, that obviously makes sense. I want the pickup and the drop off destination. But some apps have not given you that in the past. Like, let's say Uber with rideshare, they haven't always shown you the, let's say, ending destination. So that info is very important for gig workers.
Awesome. Yeah, I know you in Uber's come out. I think Uber Eats, Uber specifically, come up with things as of late, like the upfront pay, and there's all this stuff about more transparency and all this stuff in the gig economy to make it much more feasible for the independent contractors like yourself. So it's always very interesting to see where those conversations kind of lie. In regard to DeliverThat specifically, I don't want to touch on it too much and get too in depth on specifically our platform, but I do just want to know how you heard about the platform in general. Were you just researching? I know obviously you keep your thumb on all things gig economy, so you're seeing new platforms come up in new markets whenever they do. But how did you first hear about DeliverThat?
That is a great question. I believe it is just in my kind of regular search for side hustles. And I've thought about catering before, the catering niche. And it might have been in my research, looking up other platforms and whatnot. But, this is the cornerstone of what I do. Because again, people are busy. If you have a 9 to 5, you got a family, whatever it is. So I try to take a little bit of the burden off of it. Again, that's kind of what the starter guide and some of the stuff we do on the website is. But it's just doing the research, finding an opportunity. And then some are, more local. And I like to deliver that's kind of availability, kind of nationwide availability in more marketplaces, what have you, because that obviously helps more people. And then from there, it's researching and trying it out for yourself. And I'm still new, but I'm excited to do more shifts, certainly.
Yeah, and I do obviously want to mention you put out, I believe, about a month ago at this point in time while we're recording the first shift video. It was absolutely amazing. Went very in depth on the pickup and drop off experience. I know we had a little interesting hiccup in terms of the tip and the gratuity process that obviously is sometimes a little convoluted on our platform that people don't necessarily understand. But how did that first shift go for you looking back on it now, a month removed?
Yeah, and I guess I'll say for anyone watching this, if you do want to check out the shift from today, I won't give it all away, but there was something on today's shift that you're going to want to see that, I mean, you could maybe call it a hiccup, but look for that. But on that first shift, like, listen, if you're a gig worker, mistakes are going to happen, right? Even on any job, mistakes are going to happen. Don't worry about it. Just learn the best practices. If you make a mistake, reach out to support, whatever, that's okay. So the first shift would deliver that, straightforward. It was at a sub place downtown. Pickup is clean. Really, it's just more stuff. It's just literally a food delivery order, but it's catering. So it's just more stuff. But the packing was good. Pickup was good. Communication from the restaurant there was good. I kind of think about it as like almost like Amazon Flex, because Amazon Flex has more confirmation steps. Confirm you've scanned the packages, confirm you're departing, confirm you've arrived, confirm you've got the right packages, confirm you've left it at the right place, and then confirm you're done. So with DeliverThat, because it's a higher ticket item, we're doing catering orders, $200, $300 orders. You get double signatures, signature of the pickup, signature of the drop off. But again, folks, if you're considering really any side hustle platform, don't worry about it. Mistakes are going to happen. Literally, once you do 5 deliveries or something, even on DeliverThat, you're going to get used to it, and then you're comfortable, and then you can really look at the money, et cetera.
That is interesting that you say something along those lines, because even something I tell people when I was a dispatcher over here and we were training new employees or speaking with new drivers on the platform, I always told them, like, if something goes wrong, we're not doing brain surgery. Like, yeah, it is. You are making someone's day, right? You are delivering their lunch. It is very important. Sometimes they're trying to squeeze it in before a meeting or during a meeting or after a meeting. So sometimes it is very important, and that if it goes poorly, it goes very poorly. But a lot of times it is just food delivery, right? We're not, building rocket ships. We're not doing all this crazy. We're not changing the world necessarily. So a lot of times it's really not the end of the world if something does go not exactly perfect. So I do kind of appreciate you echoing a message in that facet. I had to know. Oh, I know what you brought up. You brought up the restaurant and the packaging in terms of things, and how we're just really picking up larger scale items of food, or amount of food, $200 to $300, $400, $500 worth of food. We've seen some deliveries. I think we took one at the end of last year where it was like upwards of like $10,000 or $6,000 worth of food. It was something absolutely ridiculous. So the order costs can get out of hand at point in times. But how important for you do you find is that packaging when you're picking up for a restaurant, or the equipment that you're utilizing to deliver that food? Is that something that's very important on your end of things?
I think so, because, think about if you're doing a higher ticket item, higher volume of food. If you're coming from the courier side, like the worker side, I'm just thinking about your time. Like, you don't want to make 5 trips into the office or whatever it is. So having the 2 DeliverThat catering bags, it makes sense. It's going to be larger orders anyway. You need that thing. We want to keep it at temp, obviously, for food safety and customer satisfaction. That makes sense. And then there's kind of secondary accessories you can do, wagon, whatever it is. If we're having, stacked orders, maybe if you have the 4 catering bags and all of that, it's just about, it's shaving off the few minutes here and there, I think, and it's making your life easier. So as a courier, like you mentioned, it's not super hard, but we want to have the tools and the knowledge to make it a little bit easier. And again, maybe shaving off a little bit of time so you're not, taking forever.
Yeah. The timeliness of things is always one of the major facets and major keys in this delivery realm and rideshare as well. People want to get to places they need to be as quick and as seamless as possible. That's really all I got for you, man, in terms of the gig economy and the gig world. I greatly appreciate your time, obviously sitting down with me here today, letting us learn a little bit about you and how the Your Driver Mike channel gets started and what you're kind of doing with your time nowadays. I know you mentioned you're in Pittsburgh. Are you from Pittsburgh originally? Were you born and raised there?
I was born in San Antonio, Texas, believe it or not. Parents moved around for like a year or so, and then we settled in Pittsburgh, where my dad's side is, here in the Pittsburgh area. He was up in the North Hills. But I mean, I've lived outside of the city, and then I was in actually San Diego for a little bit. Came back to Pittsburgh, family's here, really saw the value in that. But, it's a nice side hustle market. I have seen a lot of new things coming to Pittsburgh, but I mean, even just generally, having driven in the city for some time, knowing all the side streets, actually, now that I think about it, this side hustle work, folks, it's kind of neat to see new parts of your city and new restaurants. I've literally had places that I'll mark on Google Maps because I've done a food delivery request. It's kind of a neat kind of intangible there.
That's actually something I've heard as well from other drivers. We had a woman, her name's Jamelia. I forget what market she was initially in, but she had moved to Dallas, Fort Worth. And she told us one time during a spotlight, she was like, yeah, if it wasn't for food delivery and platforms like this, I would have never learned more about the city, or like seen these office buildings, or learned about these structures, like what that statue is over there and things like that. So it can be an interesting way to kind of learn more about your environment. Yeah, it's super interesting. Unbelievable. Mike, I appreciate you again, man, your time, your patience with us on the platform, and learning everything about us as you come and go. I'll give you a chance here before we close out and get you going. Let everyone know where they can find you. I know you mentioned yourdrivermike.com, and obviously you have the YouTube channel, but any other socials, where can people find you and seek you out?
Yeah, it's really Your Driver Mike everywhere that I have a presence. And I'll tell you, lots more to come in 2024. I'm excited because this is an ever-changing thing that's, okay, maybe I just want to side hustle for the summer, but then like maybe in the fall and winter, you're thinking, well, you know what, for next year's vacation, I wish I had some extra money. And you kind of dive back in. Okay, what's new? What's changing? And then what I try to do is discover new platforms. Even like DeliverThat, there's other platforms that I've tried that I thought weren't worth it for the time, the pay, et cetera. So that's really all I try to do. I think it's kind of fun to be out there in your city, especially as the weather warms up here in Pittsburgh, and certainly a lot to come on the channel.
Awesome, man. Awesome. I know the gig economy appreciates you, the educational format of all your videos and everything you're doing for everyone out there. So from the gig economy, the independent contractors out there, subscribe to your channel as well as a platform like ours. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, man. And hopefully we see you on the road very soon.
Appreciate it, Ben. Thank you.